The stage collapsed, and Fu Qingshan, who was in the audience, instinctively rushed to Shen Weiwei's side. Trapped beneath the rubble, I watched as he panicked and began performing CPR on Shen Weiwei with frantic, unmeasured compressions. In a weak voice, Shen Weiwei asked him, "Qingshan, do you still have feelings for me?" Fu Qingshan didn't speak, but his eyes grew red, always so steady. He was now trembling with fear, his hands shaking uncontrollably. I closed my eyes and let the tears fall. Today, I asked Fu Qingshan if he could come to my performance. He said he had a surgery scheduled and couldn't get away. Fu Qingshan, it's over between us. 1. As I was wheeled out of the operating room, the doctor glanced at my leg and asked, "Are you a pianist or a dancer?" I said, "The piano." The doctor's tense expression relaxed. "That's good. Your leg will likely take some time to recover." I looked down at my uninjured hands, then tried to move my legs, only to find I had lost all sensation in my right leg. While the nurse was changing my bandages, I accidentally overheard their conversation. "Sigh, it seems the dancer next door and Dr. Fu are a couple." You didn't see the look on Dr. Fu's face when he carried Shen Weiwei in. He's usually ice cold to any woman at our hospital, but yesterday he was frantic with worry holding her. Those reporters were blocking his way, and he roared at them to get out of the way. Fu Qingshan had a cool, detached temperament, treating everything with a certain aloof indifference. I rarely saw him smile, and just as rarely saw him lose his temper. The nurse applied the medicine and gave me the injection with gentle movements. She also thoughtfully placed a hot water bottle for me. She smiled at me. The fluid can be painful if it's too cold or running too fast, so placing a hot water bottle here can help. If you notice any redness or swelling, please don't hesitate to call me. I nodded and smiled back at her. Before leaving, the nurse remarked with a sigh, "This is the first time Dr. Fu has ever taken leave, just to take care of Shen Weiwei in the hospital." I was alone in the hospital room. I took out my phone and dialed Fu Qingshan's number. It took Fu Qingshan a long time to answer the phone. Before I could even speak, Fu Qingshan said, "Yunxiang, I won't be back for lunch. I have a surgery to attend to." This was the first time Fu Qingshan had ever proactively called to inform me of his plans, but it was all a lie. In the past, I would have pestered Fu Qingshan relentlessly, bombarding him with countless messages and chattering away in his ear. The nurse said Fu Qingshan has taken time off. In the 3 years we've been married, he's barely taken a day off. What's different is that while others work overtime out of necessity, he does it by choice. Every new year, he voluntarily cancels his annual leave and reschedules it for Christmas. His hospital colleagues were always happy to swap shifts with him. We didn't even have a wedding, let alone a honeymoon. Gossip about Shen Weiwei and Fu Qingshan was all over the internet. Seeing Shen Weiwei's face clearly online, it suddenly clicked for me why Fu Qingshan would rush to her without a second thought. I spent half a month in the hospital, and during that time, Fu Qingshan called me every single day. The calls came like clockwork, his voice always cold and detached. "Working late tonight, won't be coming home," and every day, I would reply, "Okay, got it." I heard from the nurses that Fu Qingshan took a month off. For the past 2 weeks, he hasn't left Shen Weiwei's hospital room for a moment. I often overheard the nurses chatting while they changed my dressings. My leg was injured, so I was confined to bed. I spend almost all my time in bed, except for the occasional visits from the caregiver to help me wash up. That's why I'm quite interested in the gossip the nurses share among themselves. If the main character of the story weren't the man listed on my marriage certificate, I'd probably be even more interested. I could grab a milk tea and some popcorn and enjoy it as juicy gossip that would be quite entertaining. But in this sad tale of star-crossed lovers finally reunited, Fu Qingshan is my husband. And I've become the villainous woman who tore them apart. I can't bring myself to feel happy about it. 2. Shen Weiwei posted a selfie on social media wearing a hospital gown. The photo inadvertently captured a man's tall, slender silhouette and his long, slender fingers with distinct knuckles. On his wrist was a Rolex Submariner watch. The watch strap looked a bit worn. Caption: "Yeah, don't worry, he takes good care of me." Fans and netizens, catching a whiff of gossip, immediately swarmed the comments section. "Weiwei, is that your boyfriend? A dream for hand lovers. Such beautiful hands, perfect for holding mine." Shen Weiwei immediately posted another Weibo reply to this netizen, staking her claim on Fu Qingshan, already holding them. The photo still showed her in a hospital gown, looking like it was taken right then and there. Her fingers were tightly interlaced with Fu Qingshan's, so it was that easy for them to hold hands like that. I remember back in university when I was with Fu Qingshan, it felt like a covert spy handoff. He never allowed any public displays of affection. My roommate, Lin Lan, never even found out we were together until after graduation. After graduation, I got my marriage certificate and told my roommate that I had married Fu Qingshan. She stared at me in horror. You must have lost your mind from unrequited love, if the marriage certificate weren't irrefutable proof. My roommate would probably think I was just another one of Fu Qingshan's delusional fangirls. During my hospital stay, Lin Lan came to visit me. She asked me cautiously, "Have you and Fu Qingshan split up?" I was taken aback for a moment, then said calmly, "Soon." Lin Lan didn't ask any further questions. Before leaving, she patted her chest, gave me a bright smile, and said, "My door is always open if you need a place to stay." I looked back at her, feeling happy. Late at night, just as I was about to fall asleep, Fu Qingshan called me again. His voice was as detached and unreadable as ever, giving away no particular emotion. "The hospital's been really busy lately. I won't be coming home for the next 2 weeks." I replied as I always did, "Got it." He didn't know that I saw him, standing in the corridor on the other side of the clear glass. Fu Qingshan never called me again after that phone call last night. He probably thought it was a hassle to check in with me every day, so he decided to get it all out in one go. Occasionally, Lin Lan would come to the hospital and push me around in the garden downstairs. I ran into Fu Qingshan once, but he didn't see me. A tall, straight-backed man leaned over, pushing a woman in a hospital gown seated in a wheelchair. Her skin was pale and fair, her lips red and teeth white, giving her a gentle, soft appearance. Shen Weiwei was fussing, demanding ice cream. Fu Qingshan crouched down in front of her wheelchair. "It's too cold, you can't have any." Shen Weiwei took his hand and pleaded with him. In the end, Fu Qingshan bought her an ice cream. A dab of ice cream clung to the corner of her lips. Fu Qingshan's hand twitched, an instinct to wipe it away, but he checked the motion and slid it back into his pocket. I saw the quiet, restrained affection in his eyes. Shen Weiwei smiled, radiant. "Qingshan, could you wipe my mouth for me?" Through the crowd, Shen Weiwei's smile landed on me, while Fu Qingshan had his back turned. In that moment, I finally understood that between Fu Qingshan and me lay vast mountains, rivers, and shimmering seas. Fu Qingshan wouldn't refuse to buy me an ice cream in winter, nor did he care if I might catch a chill, nor would he bend down to wipe the ice cream from the corner of my mouth. He would say, "Yunxiang, wipe it yourself, it's not hygienic." 3. The attending physician re-examined me and went over the precautions. "I can be discharged next week." I nodded in acknowledgement. Lin Lan is going on a business trip next week, so I'll need to ask someone to help me. Before leaving, the doctor added, "Remember to get out in your wheelchair more often." I struggled to wheel myself around the area alone for a bit. When I returned to my hospital room for lunch, I found a photo had gone viral. The photo showed Fu Qingshan's back and Shen Weiwei's face. From age 16 to 26, Fu Qingshan holds Shen Weiwei, his broad back to the camera, while her face is turned towards the lens. Look closely. This photo from when I was 26 was a candid shot taken in the hospital. In the background, there's also a blurry image of me alone, struggling to push a wheelchair. The aloof surgeon vs the graceful dancer # fake siblings reunion trope becomes reality #. My heart skipped a beat when I saw these headlines. And here are some even more provocative captions. The best part about fake sibling couples breaking up: "It doesn't matter if you split, you still have to sit at the same table for the family reunion dinner on New Year's Eve." Reading these words was a true epiphany for me. The old photo Fu Qingshan always kept in his wallet was of his stepsister, the daughter his stepmother brought into the family. After 3 years of marriage, I knew he had a sister, but I had never met her. Every single time I suggested it, he turned me down. The fog of confusion lifted in an instant, and everything became clear. I had a quiet crush on Fu Qingshan, and he must have known all along. One time when he was drinking to drown his sorrows, I followed him quietly. I finally mustered the courage to approach, but he turned away. I whipped my head around, turning my back to him, my heart pounding wildly. A man's low, cool voice came from behind me. Wen Yunxiang. Weren't you going to deliver the water, hand it over? After that day, we kept in touch. He had long since noticed my feelings for him. He was the one who confessed. We got together. And then we married. All of this happened in less than 6 months, unfolding with an almost unbelievable smoothness. What I had mistaken for a life of pure, honeyed bliss turned out to be a cage, meticulously crafted for me by Fu Qingshan. He married me because he was in love with Shen Weiwei. His ridiculous sense of morality told him he couldn't take things any further with Shen Weiwei. Their parents forced them apart. Shen Weiwei went abroad, while he stayed in the country to continue his postgraduate studies. He needed anyone, to help him get over Shen Weiwei quickly and put his parents' minds at ease. And I was the one who willingly jumped into this mess. I pieced all of this together from Shen Weiwei's Weibo posts. It's the end of the year. I searched everywhere online. But no one was willing to take my job. Most people think it's bad luck to go to the hospital around New Year's and refuse the work. Even after tripling my rate, I got no inquiries, so I had no choice but to stay at the hospital a few more days. Wait until Linlan returns. Hospital beds were in short supply, and a new patient moved into the room next to mine, an old man. The old man moved with an agility that put my own movements to shame. The old man asked me with a smile, "All by yourself?" "Young lady." I nodded. "That's right, I've been putting off checking out, and now the hospital beds are in short supply. The attending physician and the nurses have urged me several times." I looked embarrassed, filled with remorse inside. "I'm leaving right away, my friend is on their way." The nurse, who was about my age, looked at me alone and lonely for days and let out a deep sigh. "All right, it's okay, just one more day at most. I'll ask the attending physician to be a bit more lenient." Perhaps noticing the panic and helplessness on my face, she smiled, gave me a wink, and silently mouthed, "Don't worry, make yourself at home, there's nothing to be afraid of." The next day, Lin Lan was stuck at the airport and was running late. Meanwhile, a new patient was admitted to the hospital. I heard a familiar man's voice growling low at the door. "What are you still doing in the hospital? Do you think this is your home?" Utterly embarrassed, I frantically gathered my things. Moving the assorted bags and bundles to the doorway from my wheelchair, the elderly lady in the same hospital room couldn't bear to watch and helped me carry it. Pushing the door open, a sullen face came into view. The man had a prominent nose bridge and a deeply furrowed brow. He looked thoroughly impatient. He asked me in a low, accusatory voice, "Do you have any idea how scarce hospital beds are right now? You've been here a week over your stay and still haven't left. Do you think this is your home?" When I saw his face, I froze for a moment. It was Fu Qingshan, a suitcase still in his right hand. He was in casual clothes, with Shen Weiwei standing beside him, her arm linked through his. I was wearing a mask, and my expression grew even more awkward. I lowered my head and said quietly, "Got it." I awkwardly gathered my things and moved outside, where my belongings were scattered all over the hallway. That was until the kind young nurse called out my name. "Yunxiang, let me help you, I'm off work." Fu Qingshan suddenly grabbed my wheelchair, took a long stride, and stood before me. We locked eyes for a moment, and only then did Fu Qingshan recognize me. He was taken aback. I pursed my lips into a smile. The young nurse was very kind and kept asking me, "Yunxiang, where's your husband? Your file says you're married." I glanced up at Fu Qingshan. After 3 years of marriage, Fu Qingshan's colleagues didn't even know if he had a wife. I said with a smile, "I'm not married." The information was filled out incorrectly. Fu Qingshan tried to step forward, but Shen Weiwei grabbed his hand to stop him. I wheeled the chair into the elevator. As I entered the elevator, I caught a flicker of panic in his eyes, just as the doors were closing. He rushed forward and called out my name. "Wen Yunxiang, wait for me." I pressed the button for the first floor. In his panic to stop the doors, he thrust his hand in and got it caught. Fu Qingshan winced and pulled his hand back just before the elevator doors closed. His eyes were filled with confusion and disbelief. Once in the car, he sent me a message, amidst a screen full of green. It was just me, chattering away and sharing everything. And then my sharing just stopped a month ago. He used to say I talked too much. When he was cooking, I'd hover by his side. "You won't believe what happened at work yesterday." Before he even finished speaking, he turned his head to look at me. "Yunxiang, quiet down." I said, "Oh, okay, from now on, I won't bother him anymore." I finally see my place in his heart. Fu Qingshan sent a message first. Wait for me, don't go anywhere. I didn't reply to him. Back home, I tried to walk slowly by holding on to things. I started to regain feeling in my leg. The doctor said I've essentially had to give up all sports. Being able to walk and jog again would be a good outcome. During that month in the hospital, I had already come to terms with the fact that my legs would never let me skip and jump again, that I could no longer hike or engage in strenuous exercise, and Fu Qingshan had never loved me. I was almost asleep when I was startled awake. When Fu Qingshan arrived home, his shoulders were dusted with fine, scattered white specks. The first snowfall of the year had begun outside. I was lying in bed as he stood there, a bag in his hand. His face was slightly flushed, and he was taking small, quick breaths. He must have run up the stairs. He looked at me, his thin lips parting slightly as if to speak, then closing again without a word. After a long pause, he said, "Why didn't you tell me you were in the hospital? When did this happen?" The room suddenly lit up. My eyes struggled to adjust, and I squinted to look at him. "A month ago." He paused, as if pondering just how long a month really was. His gaze settled on me, his pupils contracting sharply, his tone laced with doubt. "A month ago, the night of your performance." I nodded and yawned, utterly exhausted. "Turn off the light, I'm going to sleep." Fu Qingshan suddenly asked, "Why didn't you leave the light on for me today?" I couldn't help but scoff at his words. Right, why on earth would I leave a light on for him? For 3 years, whenever he worked late, I'd keep dinner warm and leave a light on for him. All this time, I've just been fooling myself. 3 years couldn't melt a heart of ice, and I'm done trying. I'm tired. Turn it off. The air grew heavy. After a long moment, he switched off the light. 5. To my surprise, Fu Qingshan didn't go for his morning run at dawn. Seeing him sitting at the dining table downstairs, I was a bit dazed. As I steadied myself on the staircase, he quickly came to my side, crouched down, and effortlessly scooped me into his arms. His tall frame towered over me by a head. I used to love clinging to him, making him hold my hand, our fingers interlocked. As we walked down the street, he took my hand and, without a word, scooped me up into his arms, leaving me feeling rather awkward. I quickly grabbed his wrist. I can walk on my own, thank you." He set me down and helped me over to the dining table. He sat across from me, taking his time with his toast. I kept my head down, sipping my milk, feeling self-conscious under his inexplicable gaze. I looked up at him, forcing a casual smile. "Aren't you going to work? Hurry up, we're going to be late." Compared to me, he's much more at ease. He took a small sip of his coffee. "I got your report from your primary doctor. I'll take you for a follow-up appointment later." "You're taking me for a follow-up? What about Shen Weiwei?" I quickly refused. "No, it's fine, I'll go next week." His voice turned cold. "Next week? My surgery schedule is completely booked for next week." I shook my head. "It's fine, I can go by myself next week." His expression suddenly turned a few degrees colder, so I changed my tune. "All right then, you can give me a ride while you're at it." After breakfast, we got ready to get in the car. Fu Qingshan answered a phone call. His brow furrowed deeply as he pinched the bridge of his nose. "Take it easy, I'm on my way." He looked down at me in the wheelchair, his eyes betraying a hint of urgency. "Yunxiang, something's come up, I'll walk you home first." He began to push my wheelchair, but I placed my hand over his to stop him. "You should go, don't let me keep you." I turned the wheelchair around and started for home myself. He stood behind me, his voice echoing in the parking garage. I couldn't make out what he said. With a roar, the car shot out of the parking lot, leaving a cloud of exhaust in its wake. The only person who could ever rattle him was Shen Weiwei. The day the stage collapsed, I saw a look in his eyes more complex than any I'd seen before. It held fear, panic, urgency, and a love that was carefully, cautiously restrained. The mouth can lie, but the red-rimmed eyes cannot. In front of me, he always seemed unflappable, as if nothing could throw him off his rhythm. 6. I requested a month's leave from my supervisor. I went to a law firm for a consultation in my wheelchair. My relationship with Fu Qingshan was quite simple. Essentially, he used me to escape his feelings for his stepmother's daughter, making me a shield to put his family at ease. At least we didn't have any children. For the first time, I felt profoundly grateful that Fu Qingshan had been so adamant about not wanting children after we got married. After I finished with the lawyer, Lin Lan came to pick me up and took me around to look at apartments. After viewing the properties, she drove me home. Looking at the layout of the house, I felt a bit disoriented. Once I learned about the relationship between Fu Qingshan and Shen Weiwei, every single thing he did seemed connected to her in my eyes. Fu Qingshan came home to find I'd already finished dinner, a dusting of fine, powdery snow still clinging to his shoulders. In his hand was a box of desserts from Shu's patisserie. Their pastries are notoriously hard to get, with only a limited batch made each day, even before he walked through the door. I already knew what he'd been up to today. I'd seen it all on Shen Weiwei's Weibo. Shen Weiwei fell at home in the morning. He rushed over as soon as he got the call. He then accompanied Shen Weiwei through her recovery exercises in the park. He even went out of his way to another district to buy her desserts from Shu's shop. Fu Qingshan placed the dessert in front of me, his tone softening. I remember you don't like desserts with a lot of cream. You prefer taro paste. I nodded. Thank you. I don't like taro paste. I like desserts with lots of cream. When I was with Fu Qingshan, he would give me gifts for every holiday, buy me little cakes, and make me brown sugar ginger tea. Thinking about these things, I would feel that he truly cared for me, but that last glimmer of hope was shattered. The caption on Shen Weiwei's Weibo post today read, "My favorite cream puff, and my favorite person. I clearly love cream, but Fu Qingshan buys me taro paste. I order my milk tea with full sugar and ice, but he always swaps it for a hot drink with half the sugar." On our first date, when I told him I wanted a cream cake and an iced milk tea, Fu Qingshan was taken aback for a moment. Because Shen Weiwei liked all the same things I did, mentioning them would make him think of Shen Weiwei, so he swapped the cream cake for a taro one. Even the trick of making ginger tea with brown sugar for a girl's cramps, Shen Weiwei taught him that. Fu Qingshan took off his overcoat, hurried to the kitchen, and quickly brewed a cup of ginger tea with brown sugar. I looked at him, puzzled. Was he really going out this late just to deliver brown sugar water to Shen Weiwei? How incredibly devoted. A delivery app could have had it there in minutes. Not long ago, Shen Weiwei posted a highly suggestive and ambiguous update on her Weibo. That time of the month is here again with the usual cramps. Suddenly, those beautifully defined, slender hands appeared before my eyes as he gently set down the cup. I looked up at him. Fu Qingshan's brow arched slightly. I forgot. It's that time of the month for you. I met his pitch-black gaze. Fu Qingshan. My period is quite regular. It always comes at the end of the month. His expression froze, a flicker of shock passing through his eyes. He was stunned for a moment before snapping back to reality. We've been together for 3 years, a full 3 years. And it's only today that I've finally understood why he always makes me brown sugar tea in the middle of every month. He only remembered Shen Weiwei's. Fu Qingshan's thin lips parted and then closed again. After a long pause, he finally spoke. I remembered it wrong. He took the initiative to feed the cake to my lips. I said, Fu Qingshan, I actually like cakes with lots of cream too. He stood there in a daze, then immediately put on his jacket. Yunxiang, I'll go out and buy one. Wait for me at home. It was snowing outside, and many shops had closed for the day. It took him 3 hours to finally get home. I was taking a drink of water when, suddenly, a pair of strong arms wrapped around me from behind. The voice was low and husky. Yun, I bought the flavor you like. Go on, eat it. He looked at me with bright, expectant eyes. But Fu Qingshan, I don't want it anymore. He looked down at my legs awkwardly, flustered as he searched for something to say. You still haven't told me. How did you hurt your legs? I pulled myself out of his embrace, turned to the side, my eyes curving into a smile as I gave him a faint, gentle look. Fu Qingshan, it happened on the day I invited you to my performance. The stage collapsed, and I was pinned under a billboard. He suddenly looked up and met my smiling eyes. Compared to his panic, I appeared much calmer. In an instant, his face turned pale. The invitation was still lying on the coffee table. That day, Fu Qingshan picked it up between 2 fingers, glanced at it, and was about to say something when he noticed the date. He let out a soft chuckle and immediately changed his tune. I'm not free that day. My hospital shift is completely full. I attended the piano recital with a heavy heart. While waiting backstage for my turn, I spotted that familiar face in the audience. My heart suddenly felt like it was soaking in a jar of honey. Secretly delighted, he came to watch my performance in secret. Just as I was about to text him, the stage collapsed. The moment the stage billboard came crashing down, my mind went completely blank. Fu Qingshan was running toward the stage, and I thought he was running to me, within mere seconds. The people on stage were trapped beneath the billboard. Chaos erupted below. In the chaos, Fu Qingshan rushed toward Shen Weiwei, his face etched with panic, his eyes instantly reddened. Thanks to his timely arrival, Shen Weiwei wasn't completely pinned beneath the billboard. Shen Weiwei's face was deathly pale. And Fu Qingshan didn't look much better. She whispered, "Qingshan, do you still have feelings for me?" With that, she fell unconscious. Fu Qingshan watched. His composure shattered into a state of frantic panic. "I see. I understand everything now." 7. Fu Qingshan gripped my arm tightly, forcibly prying my fingers apart to interlace them with his own. "Yunxiang, Shen Weiwei is my sister." My eyebrows shot up. "So it's your sister? Haven't met her yet." His grip on me tightened, and I struggled. "Fu Qingshan, you're hurting me." I went back to the bedroom by myself. He stood at the foot of the bed, his voice trembling. "Yunxiang, you should meet her when the time comes. You've always wanted to travel, haven't you? How about I take you to see the ocean in the Maldives this new year?" I pulled the covers over myself and said okay. There wasn't really any need for a big to-do. We got our marriage license, skipped the wedding and the photos, and just had a meal with our parents. At the time, I hadn't even met his relatives or his sister. The next morning, breakfast was laid out on the table. Fu Qingshan sent me a message as a reminder. "Remember to eat your breakfast. I'll go with you to the park for your walking rehab after I get off work." After consulting with my lawyer, I scheduled a viewing with a real estate agent and put down a deposit. On the way back, I cut through a park where a large dog started barking at me. It had snow-white fur and pitch-black eyes. The moment I saw that dog, my own eyes widened in shock. Then I saw the dog's owner, the first time I was ever bitten by a dog. It was this Samoyed. When I was living with Fu Qingshan, a large dog charged at me, barking furiously. It watched me with caution. Fu Qingshan lowered his gaze and smiled gently. "Sana, sit." The dog reluctantly sat down, its eyes following me. I'm quite afraid of dogs. When Fu Qingshan wasn't home, the dog would bare its teeth at me, burst out of its cage, and knock me down. In my panic, I stepped on the dog's tail, and I must have hurt it. It was in so much pain that it thrashed around wildly. When Fu Qingshan returned and saw the scene, blood on the floor, the dog lying there with a bloody tail, he immediately looked at me, his eyes burning with anger. "When Yunxiang, did you touch it?" The anger in his expression made my mind go completely blank. He quickly scooped up the Samoyed, stroking its fur to soothe it. "Don't be scared. Daddy's taking you to the vet." The blood on the floor was mine. When we returned, the Samoyed was moping, hiding behind Fu Qingshan. Fu Qingshan's face held a trace of guilt. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have snapped at you." I managed a weak smile and shook my head. He bandaged my wound, took me to get a vaccine, and had the dog taken away. Shen Weiwei walked towards me, leading her Samoyed. Her injuries seemed to be healing well. My heart tightened, and I took a fearful step back. She smiled brightly. With her slender figure, she initiated the conversation. We both knew the score, but neither of us laid our cards on the table. "Isn't she beautiful?" The dog my partner and I raised, standing by the river, she said. "My parents didn't approve of us being together. He said it didn't matter, that he would take me away, that if we loved each other, we could overcome anything. My field requires further study abroad." Yet, without a moment's hesitation, he bought a house overseas and was ready to quit his top-tier job to start from scratch with me in a foreign country. I listened to her quietly. Fu Qingshan was tearing my heart apart, piece by piece. I never imagined I could face this day with such calm. I thought my heart would be torn apart, that I would be filled with resentment, but I couldn't bear to hurt my parents, so I was the one who let him go. When I coldly abandoned him and left, he hated me, saying he would never see me again in this lifetime. Yet, every new year abroad, he would come to be with me. He said he couldn't do it, he couldn't bring himself to hate me. Even my own parents found the flight too tiring to visit, but he was willing to give up all his assets and resources back home to start over with me overseas. From Shen Weiwei's words, I finally understood why Fu Qingshan hadn't celebrated the Lunar New Year for the past 3 years. Choosing instead to take his annual leave at Christmas and fly abroad, he did it to be with Shen Weiwei, afraid she would be lonely. After saying this, She raised her thick eyebrows, beaming with a radiant smile. And you haven't said anything yet. I gave a soft smile. You'll be with the one you love very soon. Shun Weiwei had a habit of recording vlogs and posting them on Weibo, so she captured our entire conversation. I'm getting a divorce. I wish you and Fu Qingshan all the happiness. I bet she'll post about it on Weibo, and I'm also betting Fu Qingshan will get wind of this. 8. My leg has mostly healed. I went to the hospital for a follow-up, and the doctor changed my dressing. The nurse changing my bandages was the same young nurse who helped me during my last hospital stay. After the nurse left, Fu Qingshan suddenly pushed the door open. The white lab coat was the first thing I saw, and when I looked up, I met his grim expression. Seeing me, he let out a sigh of relief and held me tightly. Why weren't you answering your phone? Oh, I just remembered. My phone is off. Have you eaten yet? I'm about to head off work. There's a new restaurant nearby that's really good. Want to go check it out together? I pushed him away. You seem busy with work. I won't disturb you any further. He firmly took my hand and, without a word, led me into the elevator to leave. His movements were swift, as if afraid I might run away. Once at the restaurant, his gaze remained fixed on me. Yunxiang, I've asked Weiwei to come along. She's my sister, my stepmother's daughter. When Shen Weiwei arrived, we exchanged a knowing smile. She gave me a warm hug. We meet again, Yunxiang. Fu Qingshan's face froze, his lips slightly pale. His movements were stiff as he tightened his grip on my hand. His large hand enveloped mine, his fingers pressing into my own. Yunxiang, this is my sister, Weiwei, he then said to Shen Weiwei, Weiwei. This is my wife, your sister-in-law, her name is Yunxiang. Fu Qingshan was peeling shrimp for me when Shen Weiwei cooed. I want some too. Didn't you promise you'd only ever peel shrimp for me? Fu Qingshan's hand paused in midair, then he resumed peeling with deliberate slowness. He lifted his gaze to look at Shen Weiwei. Weiwei, stop fooling around. Fu Qingshan was fastidious about cleanliness. Except when he was in the operating room, he's never been willing to peel shrimp for me. This is a first. Shen Weiwei and I locked eyes, her gaze full of provocation. I remained perfectly composed. After dinner, Shen Weiwei insisted that Fu Qingshan see her home. Fu Qingshan looked down at me, his arm around my waist. Her leg is injured, and it's not good for her to be out in the cold wind. I'll call a car for you to go back. Mom and Dad are really looking forward to seeing you. I couldn't help but find Fu Qingshan's current state rather amusing, holding my hand. He helped me into the car and said, Yunxiang, I've booked the tickets. Let's go to the Maldives for the new year, and then we can retake our wedding photos. We'll have another wedding when we get back. When I stayed quiet, he gave my hand a gentle squeeze. The car was wonderfully warm once we got inside. As he started the engine, I turned my head to look at him. Fu Qingshan, playing along with your act is exhausting. Find someone else. The roar of the car engine ceased immediately. His hands rested on the steering wheel. He slowly turned his head. Yunxiang, what are you talking about? I took a deep breath and told him with a smile. Fu Qingshan, using me to make her jealous. That's a pretty lousy act. I can see you two are in love with each other. Stop wasting my time. Let's get a divorce. Fu Qingshan was completely flustered, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. His lips were pressed tightly together, and his usually cool, detached voice grew hoarse. When Yunxiang, I don't agree. 9, I said calmly. Fu Qingshan, do I have to spell it out for you? I saw your white Samyed. She was following Shen Weiwei. You were so angry, jumping to the conclusion that I hurt the Samyed without even hearing me out. In your heart, you've never really let go of Shen Weiwei. I invited you to my piano recital, and you turned me down. When I saw you backstage that day, I thought you'd come secretly to see me. That bouquet of roses beside you, I thought it was meant to celebrate my performance. A part of me felt a secret, bitter satisfaction when you rushed towards Shen Weiwei the moment that billboard fell. I knew then that there was no hope left for us. While I was in the hospital, you told me you were working overtime and couldn't come home, but I overheard the nurses saying you had taken a whole month off to care for Shen Weiwei. You, who always treated work as 99% of your life, actually took a month's leave for her. What you didn't know was that every time you called to lie to me, I would somehow run into you. I'd see you, pushing her wheelchair in the hospital garden, letting her soak up the sun. Fu Qingshan's face went deathly pale. He fumbled, trying to explain. As he spoke, his eyes grew moist. She invited me to her first performance back in the country before you did. I was afraid to turn you down, and I lied because I didn't want you to overthink it. About the hospital stay, that was my fault. I didn't know you were in trouble, too. If I could do it all over again, I wouldn't have gone to see her perform in the first place. The last time we met, I made it clear to her. Unless it's in front of our parents, we shouldn't see each other in private anymore. My parents divorced when I was young. After my father remarried, he pretty much neglected me. Because of our family situations, she and I grew up together, but I never really felt a sense of familial love. My feelings for her were always ambiguous. It wasn't until I married you that I realized what I feel for you is real love, it's affection. I listened quietly until he finished speaking. Fu Qingshan. I understand. As soon as I stepped out of the car, a force wrapped around me. He buried his face in my shoulder and wept. Yunxiang, I made everything clear the last time I saw her. Please, don't leave me, I'm begging you. He held me, but I could no longer feel the burning warmth of a heart racing for someone. I pushed him away. Fu Qingshan, stop this. I gave you 3 years, it's too late now. I was already home, my bags packed and ready, seeing the empty house. Fu Qingshan froze for a moment, then smiled as tears began to fall. Yunxiang, had you already made up your mind to leave me? He pulled a slip of paper from his pocket. It was a booking confirmation for a flight and a hotel, made long in advance. There's also the wedding dress photography studio, and the wedding next March. The date on it was the same day I invited him to the show. He fumbled it out urgently, his legs trembling slightly. It's too late, Fu Qingshan. Our journey together ends here. I moved out, clean and quick. I gradually returned to work, taking on small performances. Fu Qingshan refused to sign the divorce papers. We're stuck in this stalemate. I plan to move abroad next year. 10. Fu Qingshan never missed a single one of my performances. As he stood in the audience, I saw genuine love for me in his eyes for the very first time. But I felt nothing. At my final domestic performance the following year, I was almost hit by a billboard again. The person playing the piano on stage was my junior. Fu Qingshan was also there under the billboard, watching me with a bouquet of roses in his hands. The moment the billboard came crashing down, I screamed my junior brother's name and sprinted towards him. It came within a hair's breadth of crushing him. As my eyes fluttered open, I saw Fu Qingshan holding the billboard aloft with his bare hands. His face was flushed crimson, the veins in his arms bulging. A cold sweat broke out on his forehead. The searing pain made him gasp, and he growled, "When Yunxiang, get out of here, now!" I grabbed my junior brother's arm and we scrambled outside. With a thunderous crash, the billboard came crashing down. Fu Qingshan was taken to the hospital. His hand was broken, and his right hand could no longer lift heavy objects. He couldn't even hold a single position for long. Those hands, which I had always been so proud of, could no longer save lives. Shen Weiwei found me and had a huge argument with me. When Yunxiang, if it weren't for you, his hand wouldn't have been injured. At that moment, I was teaching a student piano. I paused for a brief moment and looked at her. I'll go thank him. After it was over, I went to see him, bringing some nourishing gifts. I stood at the doorway, and the moment he saw me, he sat bolt upright. We just stared at each other for a long, long time. It had been a year since we last looked at each other for this long. The only thing is, there's no more affection left in my eyes. Yet, his gaze lit up with anticipation as he looked at me. Fu Qingshan, thank you for saving me. When should we go get the divorce certificate? He was stunned. A long, long time later, his eyes reddened, inch by inch. His voice was hoarse. Yunxiang, the moment I saw you run toward someone else, my heart ached without warning. It hurt so much I felt I couldn't breathe. But more than the pain, I was terrified that the billboard would fall on you. I know, experts later estimated that it would take 10 grown men to hold up that billboard, yet Fu Qingshan managed it alone. His adrenaline spiked in an instant. But now I understand how much it must have hurt you. Watching me run towards Shen Weiwei, I was still clinging to a sliver of hope, until I saw that video of you meeting Shen Weiwei, where you wished happiness for her and me. Hearing you wish me happiness with someone else, it feels like I'm suffocating, like I'm dying. The corners of his eyes glistened, every wound ached, crying out in pain, but his heart most of all. He lowered his gaze and extended a hand toward me. Give it here, I'll sign it. Yunxiang, I'm sorry. Before I left, he called out to me, his voice trembling with reluctance. Yunxiang, don't listen to them. I injured my hand willingly. Don't feel guilty. It's me who should be sorry. I would try my best to save anyone trapped underneath. But because it was you, I gave it everything I had. Fu Qingshan, our journey together ends here. Outside the Civil Affairs Bureau, Lin Lan waved to me happily, a case of beer in hand. The sky was a pale blue, the light glaring. Sitting on the park lawn, the crisp clink of cans celebrated the start of my new life. Story 2. I went to have a meal at my mother's best friend's house, and her son was my ex-boyfriend. I pretended not to know him and kept my head down, scrolling through videos. The first video I clicked on was How to Attract the Attention of Your Ex-Boyfriend. I watched it 8 times, and since I wasn't interested, I swiped it away decisively. The next video was by Dr. Shu Chao. Can a guy still get an erection after drinking? That's when I realized there was no sound coming from my earphones. So I turned up the volume vigorously. The next second, the man sitting at the other end of the sofa took off his earphones with a disgruntled look on his face and said to me, "Yes, he can even after drinking." Stop watching, me, ex-girlfriend. You're connected to my earphones, for F***'*KS sake. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. In the evening, my parents didn't plan to cook at home and decided to eat out. I seemed to be writing my thesis seriously in my room, but in fact, I had my ears perked up, waiting for them to knock on the door and call me. But even when I heard the sound of the key unlocking the door, no one came to call me. I couldn't sit still anymore. Without even putting on my slippers, I dashed out and stopped them, saying, "Mom and Dad, where are you going?" "To have a meal," I reminded them euphemistically. "Well, don't you think something is missing?" My mother looked around and asked in confusion, "What's missing?" I kept pointing at myself with my hand and quickly said, "It's me. You're going out for a meal and you don't plan to take me with you. Aren't you busy writing your thesis?" "I'm almost done. I wrote 3,000 words yesterday and 4,000 words today." I was lying. In reality, I wrote 3,000 words yesterday and deleted 4,000 words today. After 2 days of hard work, I'm still 1,000 words short. It's another day that makes my supervisor unable to hold his head up in the academic circle. Hehe. My father thought for a moment and asked me again, "Are you sure? School starts tomorrow. Do you really dare to go if you don't finish your thesis? What's there to be afraid of about having a meal? It's not like we're going to my supervisor's house to eat." After I said that, my parents looked at each other, afraid that they would change their minds. I quickly put on my shoes, rushed out of the house, got into the car, and fastened my seatbelt. They had no choice but to take me with them. I didn't have to rack my brains to produce academic garbage to pollute the environment for the time being. I was in a wonderful mood all the way, shaking my head and humming a little tune, listening to the 2 people in the front seat chatting. They talked one after another. I roughly learned that they were going to have a meal at an old best friend's house of my mother's whom she hadn't seen for years, and my father and the old best friend's husband were also college classmates. This kind of fate is even more amazing than that in Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. My mother said that her old best friend had a son who took after his mother and was really handsome. Speaking of this, she suddenly pointed at me. Your aunt's son just graduated with a doctorate this year. He's in the same major as you. If you encounter any problems with your thesis, you can ask him for advice." My father interrupted. TSK. It seems that his father intends to let his son inherit his mantle and become a teacher." My mother replied, "Well, his talent won't be wasted at all. Yeah, he's really excellent." If, as they said this, the 2 of them looked at each other strangely, then they looked at me in the rearview mirror of the car. I had just gathered the melon seeds I had peeled in my palm and threw them into my mouth in one go. When I looked up, I felt those 2 prickly gazes. My mother was the first to look away. "Forget it, I don't think they have any chemistry." When I heard this, I almost choked on the melon seeds. Were they trying to match me with someone else? I haven't even met him, and I don't want it, so I quickly nodded. Yes, I'm not worthy of him. I'm just a poor postgraduate student who has a full range of negative effects on society, has an abstract future, and can't write my thesis. My mother turned around and looked at me steadily. "I thought you didn't know why we didn't take you with us tonight." I was so angry with this couple that I didn't want to talk. The destination was a villa area. During the short walk after getting out of the car, I walked behind them in a fit of pique, keeping a distance of more than 10 meters. They didn't care about me either and walked forward hand in hand affectionately. When I realized it, they were already knocking on someone else's door. Then I quickly quickened my pace and walked over. After a while, the door opened. It was getting dark. From a distance, I could vaguely see that the person who opened the door was a tall, fair, and handsome guy. What? This extremely good-looking guy, and you're telling me he's a Ph.D. in science and engineering. I was both afraid that my parents would leave me behind once they went in and eager to see the guy's face clearly. I changed from a quick walk to a run. Finally, I caught up with them and let out a sigh of relief. I put one hand on my waist and lowered my head to wipe the sweat. Who is this? The guy's clear and mellow voice sounded, obviously asking about me. This voice somehow sounded familiar. I looked up curiously. Just one glance, and I quickly buried my head again. I hate why the sky couldn't be darker. After hating the sky, I hated myself even more for being so greedy and insisting on coming out for a meal. He must have also seen clearly who I was. I didn't say anything. Seeing this, my father introduced me. This is our daughter, Shia Tingy. You two are from the same university. She's currently in her second year of postgraduate studies. Come on, this is your Uncle Ju's son, Ju Jian. I really wanted to say, Dad. There's no need to introduce me in such detail. After all, when we were the closest, we even knew clearly how many moles each other had and which one was the most sensitive. We were clearly a good match. But neither of us was an easy person. He spoke in a mean way, and I spoke in a provoking way. I can't remember which trivial matter it was because of, but we had a big fight. In a fit of anger, I directly proposed to break up, and he nodded in agreement, slammed the door, and we broke up. Now he is my ex-boyfriend. Oh, so you're Shia Ting-yi. He deliberately elongated the sounds of O and R, and his tone was extremely sarcastic. The words to scold him were on the tip of my tongue. I glared at him and gritted my teeth to hold back. Do you two know each other? My mother saw my strange expression and heard Ju Jian speak like that. Her suspicious eyes scanned back and forth between me and him. Do you really know each other? Have you met before? I still chose to remain silent. I also hoped that Ju Jian wouldn't be mean and reveal our relationship. Just as I was feeling uneasy, a loud and resounding baritone voice came from inside the house, getting closer and closer. What, Shia Tingy? Why are you here? Weren't you supposed to be writing your thesis? I couldn't take it anymore. It turned out to be my supervisor's voice. Just 5 minutes ago, Professor Ju sent me a message. Student Shia, after a whole vacation. Will I ever have the chance to read the first draft of your thesis in my lifetime? Of course, I couldn't let my kind and amiable supervisor down, so I quickly sent him a photo of my desk piled high with reference books, which I had taken as a pose at home. I confidently perfunctorily replied, Look, I didn't go anywhere today. I haven't even had dinner yet. I've been burying myself in writing. It's obvious that I'll submit the first draft this week and become a rising star in the academic circle next week. He didn't say anything, just kept sending me the death smile emoji. At this moment, seeing me standing at his door, he even put the death smile directly on his face. The 50-something-year-old man was holding a green onion, pointing at me with a look of hating iron for not becoming steel, gnashing his teeth. He looked like he wanted to scold me. But because my parents were present and his wife was calling him to quickly crush the ginger and garlic, he held back his words again and angrily went into the house. Ju Jian watched the commotion from the side, raised a sinister smile, and answered the question my mother had asked earlier. He had a hidden malicious intent in his smile. Student Shia is my father's favorite student. I often hear him mention her at home, so I have a deep impression of her, me. I think there's nothing more embarrassing in this world than having my ex-boyfriend be my supervisor's son. I was really so embarrassed that I felt like I was losing my mind. At that moment, I felt that my postgraduate life was about to go off the rails, because I felt ashamed. As soon as I entered the house, I stuck closely to my mother, being extremely dependent on her. Ju Jian poured tea for us. I buried my head behind my mother. She thought I was shy, so she pulled my head out and even encouraged me to speak. Your brother poured tea for you. What do you want to say? I took a deep breath, forced a fake smile, and said to him, Thank you. My mother put on a serious face and coughed lightly. I immediately became timid and changed my words. "Thank you, brother." Upon hearing this, Ju Jian smiled inexplicably, nodded, and said, "You're welcome, sister." He deliberately emphasized the word sister and gave me a deep look after saying it. After taking only a couple of sips of tea, my mother couldn't sit still anymore and wanted to go chat with her old best friend. My father and Professor Ju also hadn't seen each other for a long time, so they got together to catch up. In an instant, only Ju Jian and I were left in the huge living room. Our eyes accidentally met. I quickly looked away, pretending not to see him, with an indifferent expression, and took out my earphones and put them on. They say that time passes quickly when scrolling through videos, and I really wanted this night when I felt like I was socially dead to pass quickly. So I lowered my head and started scrolling through videos. When putting on the earphones, out of the corner of my eye, I saw Ju Jian also take out his earphones from his coat pocket and put them on, looking like he didn't want to pay attention to anyone. He sat down with a cold face at the sofa position farthest from me. I let out a long sigh of relief. I had thought too much. In fact, he didn't really want to pay attention to me either. I opened TikTok. The first video played automatically. And the title of the subtitle was, "How to Attract the Attention of Your Ex-Boyfriend." As soon as the video finished playing, I heard a snort of laughter coming from not far away. I slightly raised my eyes and saw a smile on the corner of Ju Jian's mouth. He looked very happy and proud. It was as if he had been hooked like a top-mouth culter by someone he liked. It had only been 3 months since we broke up. Did he already have a new lover? For no reason. Something seemed to tighten in my heart, and I felt a little uncomfortable. Scrolling through videos at someone else's house just isn't as enjoyable as doing it in my own bed. Perhaps because I wasn't comfortable enough. I had some difficulty understanding. I didn't really get it after watching it for the first time, so I watched it again. Well, let's watch it one more time. Finally, after watching it for the 8th time, I realized it belatedly. Why was I learning how to attract my ex-boyfriend's attention? Right now, I desperately want to be invisible in front of him. Okay, since I wasn't interested, I swiped it away decisively. The next one was a popular science video by Dr. Shu Chao. Can a guy still get an erection after drinking? I stared at those words, my pupils dilated in shock, and quickly paused the video. Goodness, Dr. Shu Chao, you didn't introduce yourself again. I couldn't guard against it, and there was nowhere for me to hide. Before, because I didn't wear earphones, I accidentally clicked on this type of video on TikTok in the elevator, which made me experience a severe case of social embarrassment. Later, I reflected on my mistakes. Whenever I scroll through videos, I always wear earphones and never play the sound out loud, and I never let a second person hear it. But today, although I was wearing earphones, I still felt uneasy. Subconsciously, I looked up and around, and found that the elders were all busy with their own things and no one heard it. The heart that had been hanging in the air quietly settled down. I retracted my gaze, and out of the corner of my eye, I couldn't help but glance at Ju Jian not far away again. He frowned, and his smiling expression just now froze awkwardly. I don't know what he saw or heard that made him feel it was incredible. Never mind, compared to why Ju Jian has an expression as if he had eaten shit. I'm still more curious about whether a guy can really get an erection when he's drunk. But after all, I'm at someone else's house. Even though no one is looking at me, I'm still a bit embarrassed to watch it openly. I don't know what I'm being coy about either. I always feel that someone will suddenly pop up behind me and stare at me secretly. I don't dare to watch it, but since I'm wearing earphones, I can listen. I pulled down the navigation bar to cover the video. I just listened without looking. After listening for a few seconds, all I could hear in my ears was the chattering of the elders chatting. Where's Dr. Shu? I want to hear Dr. Shu's voice. That's when I realized that there seemed to be no sound coming from my earphones. I didn't hear any sound in the first video either. Was it on mute? I long pressed the volume button and vigorously turned up the volume. Then I found that there was still no sound even when the volume was turned up to the maximum. Were the earphones broken? What? These were the earphones I just bought today. This was the first time I wore them. They cost more than 1,000 yuan, and they broke just like that. My heart was broken into pieces, and I didn't want to accept the fact that the earphones were broken. So I paused the video and then played it and then paused it and then played it again. But it was all in vain. I also tried to turn the volume down and then up and then down and up again, still no use. I turned off the Bluetooth and was going to reconnect it again. Suddenly, Ju Jian beside me spoke. Xia Tingy, are you deaf? Me, yes, he can even after drinking. Stop watching. Me, even with his 5.2 vision, he couldn't see what was on my small phone screen, right? Surely not. Could it be that he heard it? Surely not. I didn't hear anything even though I was wearing earphones, let alone the sound leaking to him. There were 2 sofa positions between us. Just as I was feeling confused, Ju Jian walked over, took off his earphones, and said with a disgruntled look on his face, "Do you know why there's no sound, ex-girlfriend? It's because you're connected to my earphones, for f***k's sake." Me, I just said that there's nothing more embarrassing than having my ex-boyfriend be my supervisor's son. Now there is. Looking closely, the floor of Ju Jian's house is spotless and extremely clean. That's because I've completely lost face. No matter what little tricks you want to play, keep them to yourself. I don't like you anymore. Stop acting all strange and coquettish here. You have no sense of propriety. Ju Jian squeezed the earphones in his hand and warned me through gritted teeth. I was furious. Dude, you're not that unforgettable. Also, why don't you reflect on yourself? You still don't want to change to a new pair of earphones even though we've broken up for so long. The earphones he's using now were the birthday gift I gave him. When we were together, we often used each other's things interchangeably, and we even connected our phones to each other's devices. What should I reflect on? It's my freedom to change the earphones or not, and I don't need to reflect on it. As for you, you said that we would never contact each other again and you would never appear in front of me. Now, it's you who came to my house first. Oh, it's my freedom to go wherever I want. If you think I'm an eyesore, you might as well dig a hole and bury yourself, so that I won't appear in front of you. Yes, yes. You're so free that you've come to my house. You're so overbearing. Why don't you just say that my whole family belongs to you? Fine, since you're mine. Go ahead and write a great thesis and put my name as the first author. I was a bit awkward and coy when I first faced him, but now that we were arguing, the memories of our past bickering came rushing back and hit me hard. Seeing him looking defeated, I suddenly felt extremely satisfied. I stood up directly, rolled up my sleeves, and was ready to continue arguing with him. But suddenly, Ju Jian stopped talking. I frowned and looked at him. It wasn't cold that day. So why was his face blushing? I sneered. Oh, you're so sensitive that you're blushing just because I said a few words to you. You have super sensitive skin. Ju Jian didn't say anything, just pursed his lips and sulked. What are you 2 kids standing there for? It's time to eat. The voice of my supervisor's wife came from the kitchen. During the meal, I was immersed in the joy of winning the argument. My supervisor saw me grinning widely while eating, pushed his glasses up on the bridge of his nose, and squinted his eyes. Xia Tingy, how's the progress of your experiment? Have you sorted out those experimental data? Have you read the literature I sent you? You can also send me the outline of your thesis first. The corners of my raised mouth instantly dropped. Did he really have to bring up such a heavy topic during the meal? Ju Jian, who was sitting beside me, snorted with a hint of schadenfreude. My supervisor didn't let him off either. Is it that funny? Then I'll leave her to you. Xia Tingy, you can show the first draft of your thesis to Ju Jian later. Me, Ju Jian, my parents didn't say anything, just kept eating and watching the drama. My supervisor's wife pinched my supervisor's arm. We're having a meal. This is home, not the place where you hold meetings. If you keep nagging, you'll eat with the dog later. I wanted to laugh, but I held it back, after scolding my supervisor. My supervisor's wife turned to me with a loving smile and said, Xia, don't pay attention to him. Take your time with the thesis. If you don't understand something, you can ask Jian. You're of the same age and should be able to talk well. Ju Jian, who had been silent for a long time, spoke up. No way. I can't talk to someone who can't write a thesis. To liven up the atmosphere, my supervisor's wife began to share the embarrassing story of Ju Jian being chased and pecked on the butt by a chicken when he was a child while trying to get eggs from the chicken coop. I listened with great interest and couldn't help but giggle. When picking up food, I wasn't paying attention and reached out with my chopsticks towards the stir-fried pork with chili. Suddenly, the 4 parents stopped laughing and talking. Their gazes all fell on me, to be precise, on me and Ju Jian. Following my mother's gaze, I looked down at my bowl. The piece of chili beef that I had just picked up somehow ended up in Ju Jian's bowl. I let out a silent scream of shock in my heart. When I was with Ju Jian before, whenever there was something I didn't like to eat and he was by my side, I was used to asking him to deal with it. I can't eat spicy food, but this time I didn't hesitate for even a second, before I even realized it. The piece of meat covered in red chili peppers had already been put into Ju Jian's bowl by me. Muscle memory is truly terrifying. Ju Jian quickly put the meat into his mouth and smiled cunningly at me, saying, "Don't worry, even if you pick food for me, I won't help you with your thesis." I wish this spicy dish could choke him. I didn't dare to be distracted anymore and focused on eating. Only then did I notice that more than half of the plate of big shrimps in front of me was already gone. I took a look and saw that Ju Jian had an empty bowl and was peeling the shrimps one by one and putting them into the bowl. I was too lazy to peel them and didn't really want to eat them just now, but now, seeing the peeled shrimps, I secretly swallowed my saliva. I planned to buy some and make them at home tomorrow. At this moment, my supervisor's wife said to him, "You're allergic to seafood. Why are you peeling so many shrimps?" Ju Jian smiled and said, "I peeled them for you." My supervisor's wife gave him a look and said, "Guess who you inherited your allergy from?" Then she turned to me and said, Eat them. This way, you won't get your hands dirty by peeling them yourself." I looked at Ju Jian cautiously. He pushed the bowl towards me and said, "Eat them. Eating more can make you smarter." "Fine, for the sake of the big shrimps. I won't hold this grudge for now." After the meal, the elders were chatting noisily. Ju Jian received a phone call and said he had something urgent to deal with and went out. After he left, the topic somehow turned to him. My mother gossiped curiously, "Going out so late, is he going to meet his girlfriend?" "No, he doesn't have a girlfriend, although he's not young anymore. He doesn't plan to date, and we don't force him." My supervisor's wife took a sip of tea, lowered her voice, and said as if sharing a secret that couldn't be told, "Some time ago, he seemed to have broken up. He didn't eat or drink at home and stayed in his room crying every day. I don't know how many of the flowers I planted in the yard he pinched to death. While pinching them, he kept mumbling that he never wanted to see her again in his life and didn't want to fall in love either. He's been busy with work recently, and is feeling a bit better." We didn't dare to ask too much and just let it be. Me, Ju Jian, crying, that's really rare. During the years we were together, I've never seen him cry, so he was crying secretly. I buried my head in my coat, feeling a bit guilty. I broke up with him without giving him a reason. Wasn't he very decisive when he agreed to the breakup? Why was he crying secretly? At night, when I lay in bed, my mind was filled with the image of Ju Jian crying. I tossed and turned and couldn't fall asleep. I opened TikTok and planned to scroll through some videos to help me fall asleep. As I scrolled, I habitually opened Ju Jian's profile page and carried out my daily act of secretly checking on him. He still hadn't posted anything. When I swiped right to exit, I didn't hold my phone firmly, and it suddenly slipped from my hand and hit my nose directly. It hurt so much that I grimaced. When I picked up the phone that had fallen on the pillow, I realized that I had accidentally clicked the request update button on Ju Jian's page with my nose. Me. I even thought about what name I would give to the new account after canceling this one. But suddenly, I received a private message from Ju Jian. Click it. It was a video of his abs taken in front of the mirror. Damn, he's so hot. I haven't seen him for a few months, and he's secretly gotten in even better shape. Who said this account was bad? This account is really great. Woohoo. I can't touch him, and now I can't fall asleep even more. I was so afraid that he would retract the video that I quickly saved it. After watching it dozens of times repeatedly, I replied indifferently, "Okay, still not sleeping so late. Are you thinking of me?" I rolled my eyes and said stubbornly, "I can't write my thesis, so I'm suffering from insomnia as usual." "If you can't write it, what are you doing playing with your phone?" iPhone 16 Pro Max 1 terabyte. Ju Jian sent me an annoying and speechless emoji. I put down my phone and looked at the ceiling. Suddenly, I thought of his crying face again. In the middle of the night, I felt sorry for him, and a sense of guilt welled up in my heart. For the sake of him generously sharing his abs video, I wanted to apologize to him. So I picked up my phone and sent him a message. "Ju Jian, are you asleep? I have something to tell you." I started editing a self-moving essay. He replied instantly, "What? You want to apologize to me, right? Don't pretend. You want me to feel soft-hearted towards you. Help you complete your thesis, and then kick me away again, right? Then let me test you. What do you really take me for, a substitute, or a tool? Damn, although I know I'm a good student who is dedicated to studying, he can't think of me as that bad, can he? I silently deleted the 300 words I had just typed and asked him, do you have the link to the money tree in your house? Hehe. Do you want to buy one for him? I don't have it. I couldn't understand what he was talking nonsense about. So I said listlessly, fine, if you don't have it, I have to go to the school registration tomorrow. It's annoying, let's stop chatting. Then Ju Jian, officially agree to the start of the semester. I need a tutorial on being mean. The next day, I went back to school and cleaned the dormitory bed that I hadn't lived in for a long time. Before, I had been living with Ju Jian. Because we broke up, I moved out of his apartment. I couldn't help but buy a lot of things for living in the school dormitory this semester. When I was about to go to the courier station to pick up my packages, I realized that I hadn't received a single pickup code. This shouldn't be right. I bought these things a week before the start of the semester. After checking, I let out a shrill scream in the dormitory and almost got thrown out by my roommate. I forgot to change the delivery address when I bought the packages. And they were all sent to Ju Jian's apartment. Why didn't he tell me anything about it? Without thinking, I rushed to his apartment without delay. It was the weekend. He should be at home. I stood at the door and called him. After a long while, he answered, "What do you want?" It were just 2 cold words. But his voice was unusually hoarse and a bit panting, with obvious ups and downs in his heavy breathing, carrying an indescribable sense of lust. My heart skipped a beat when I heard it. Had he just finished working out? I forgot to change the delivery address of my packages, and they were sent to your place. I'm here to pick them up. Oh, then come in. After saying that, he hung up the phone quickly. I waited for a long time, but he still didn't come to open the door for me. I lost my patience. I tried to put my thumb on the password lock. With a beep, the door opened. I looked at the opened door, feeling a bit surprised. After entering, I didn't see Ju Jian. I walked straight in and called him tentatively, Ju Jian. As soon as I finished speaking, he came out of the bedroom. He wasn't wearing a shirt, and he was wearing a pair of grey sweatpants on his lower body. His lips were moist, the corners of his eyes were red, and the bangs on his forehead were wet. He looked blurred and alluring. I was so afraid that my eyes would be glued to him that I quickly looked away and glanced around. Why did you come out without wearing a shirt? Sorry. I was stunned. It was just that he wasn't wearing a shirt. He didn't offend me, and instead, it was a bit of a treat for my eyes. There was nothing to be sorry about. I coughed lightly. Where are my packages? On the balcony. He raised his chin towards the corner of the balcony, and I walked over. I thought you were planning to get back together with me. So you sent the packages here. He followed behind me, curved his lips, and mumbled. I was busy checking the packages and didn't hear him clearly. So I asked him, "What did you say?" He raised his hand to wipe the sweat on his forehead and pursed his lips without speaking. Seeing that he didn't say anything, I looked up at him standing beside me, because I was squatting. The angle at which I looked up was not good. My mind was instantly filled with dirty thoughts, and I quickly pulled down a strand of hair to cover my blushing face. After checking the packages, I suddenly thought of something and said to him, "By the way, I left several sets of clothes at your place before. I'll take them away together." "What clothes?" His expression froze instantly, his eyes dodged, and a trace of guilt and confusion flashed across his face. "A few sets of underwear and a few skirts. They should still be in the closet, right?" "What? You didn't throw them away, did you?" Seeing his expression, I became anxious. Those skirts were not cheap. I had only worn them a few times. "Ju Jian, I'm not done with you." I walked towards the bedroom in a bit of anger. Seeing this, Ju Jian quickly chased after me and tried to stop my hand from pushing the door. "Don't." But it was too late. I had already pushed the door open. On the big bed, my short skirt and underwear were crumpled up and scattered randomly. Combined with his abnormal behavior just now, I instantly understood. He stood beside me, looking at me nervously and at a loss. I laughed out of anger and asked knowingly, "What were you doing?" Just then, my phone rang. It was a video call. I looked at the name and frowned. I didn't plan to answer it, and the call hung up by itself after a while. After the silence, an embarrassing atmosphere that couldn't be ignored filled the air. I twitched the corners of my mouth. How about the other, clothes? Upon hearing this, Ju Jian's gaze moved away from my phone, his face turned red, and he, who was always calm and composed, suddenly stuttered, "I'm sorry, if you don't like it, I won't do it again in the future. I'll compensate you for all the clothes." Ju Jian said he would compensate me, and I didn't decline. After all, who would say no to new clothes? I thought he was going to take me to buy new clothes, but he just transferred 50,000 yuan to me. I looked at the transfer and was confused. Is it not enough? He lowered his head and tapped on the screen a few times. This time, it was 200,000 yuan. Well, although Ju Jian used to have a mean mouth, he did have a bit of a people-pleasing personality. Ju Jian was a bit proud. "This is the best I can do for my ex-girlfriend." I sneered. "You're actually quite nice. Then I'll reluctantly write a letter of recommendation for your next girlfriend, Ju Jian." At night, lying on the hard bedboard in the dormitory, I kept my eyes open and didn't dare to close them, because as soon as I closed my eyes, I would see the indescribable images of Ju Jian with a lustful expression. I licked my lips and secretly cursed myself for being spineless. I was the one who initiated the breakup, and I couldn't bring myself to ask for a reconciliation. But I also missed his body very much. Since I couldn't fall asleep, I simply got up and started writing my thesis. My supervisor read the first draft of my thesis and sent it back with a lot of annotations. I didn't have a clear idea of how to revise it, so I planned to search for a few more relevant literatures for reference. I opened CNKI and, as if possessed, typed Ju Jian's name into the search bar. When I realized what I had done, I quickly patted my forehead, trying to stay sober. The next second, I clicked the search button. I had been so focused on lusting after Ju Jian's body that I hadn't even read his thesis. I was a bit curious about how a Ph.D. student crafted his academic work. I opened his graduation thesis. After reading half of it, I couldn't laugh anymore. Damn, it was so well written. He could even be my supervisor without any problem. If I had known he was this good at writing while I was like a desperate illiterate, when he talked back during our quarrels, I should have just kissed him instead of breaking up with him. Now, we were both unhappy. I felt regretful. Bracing myself, I sent him a message. "Are you asleep?" Ju Jian replied instantly, asking if I'm asleep at 4:30 in the morning. "How about I put your name as the beneficiary of my insurance policy? That's not a bad idea. Are you suffering from insomnia again because you've been playing with your smartphone? No. Can you help me look at my thesis? Oh, so you think of me now. What were you doing earlier? Why didn't you think of asking me to help you with your thesis when you were scolding me? Did you expect this day when you broke up with me? Let me tell you, I have principles. I won't show mercy and help my ex-girlfriend with her thesis." I rolled my eyes and was about to reply, "You stingy guy." Before I could send it, another message came from him. "What are you waiting for? Send it over. The offer expires. My time is precious." I quickly sent my thesis to him. Being overly obsequious, at that moment, I thought his sarcasm was as pleasing to me as sweet nothings. After a moment of silence, he asked, "If I help you revise it, you should give me some benefits, right? Then I'll reluctantly help you check if your abs are in good shape. You sure know how to take advantage. You really are something. Then I'll check your whole body. Is that okay?" The next day, Ju Jian and I made an appointment to revise the thesis at the coffee shop at the school gate. When I arrived after class, he told me that he had an urgent meeting and asked me to wait for a while. I was about to find a seat to sit down when a voice behind me called my name, Xia Tingy. I turned around and thought the person looked somewhat familiar. I frowned and searched my mind for the name that matched this face. "I'm Song Yao," the person said. "Oh, the annoying guy was here 3 months ago. He suddenly messaged me saying that he had returned to the country." I didn't reply. Then he started calling me every day. I didn't answer any of his calls and blocked him. I secretly had a crush on him for 3 years in high school, and most of the time, I could only see the back of his head. After the college entrance examination, I confessed my love to him, and he agreed. He even changed his college application to the same school as mine. I was very happy during the time we were together, thinking that my secret love had finally come true, but 2 months later, he told me that he was going to study abroad, that he had only filled in the same college as mine to tease me, and that being with me during the summer vacation was just for fun. He told me not to take it to heart. He said that an ordinary college student like me and someone like him who was going to study abroad and have a bright future were destined to have no future together. I was extremely angry. Just because he was going abroad, he thought he was a genius. This guy's college entrance examination score was still dozens of points lower than the lowest admission score of my undergraduate school. I was really blind to have fallen for such a guy whose relationship with me was like a stain on my record. Remembering the past, I didn't have a good expression for him and said coldly, "What do you want?" "Of course, Shasha, you've become much more beautiful. Sit down, and let's catch up." Song Yaro was thin and wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses on his nose. Exuding an air of shrewdness, "Spit it out if you have something to say." I became more and more impatient. At that moment, I suddenly realized that ex-boyfriends were not all the same. "I'm getting married, as my first love. Will you come?" "Me, actually, I still liked you a lot back then. But I didn't get admitted to the same school as you, and I felt ashamed. Also, I was young and inexperienced at that time and only filled in one college application. I had no choice but to ask my family to let me study abroad. I didn't break up with you on purpose." "Oh, you're so great." Blaming me for your own arrogance and the fact that you filled in your college application randomly and ended up not being admitted to any university. Is that right? Song Yaro pushed his glasses up. "I don't mean to blame you, I know it's my problem. But over the years, I often think of you. I've met many girls abroad, but they can't compare to your place in my heart. I often miss you." I rolled my eyes so hard. "Then can you get lost? Your white moonlight here is feeling nauseous just looking at you." Song Yaro wasn't angry either. I suppressed the urge to splash coffee on him and stood up to leave. He was still talking to himself. "You and Ju Jian are both really good at talking. You've met my boyfriend." I frowned. Okay, I won't say anything. You'd better go to him. He's almost turning green with jealousy." "What, isn't that your boyfriend? He's over there." He raised his hand and pointed to the position behind me. I turned around, and Ju Jian was standing there, staring fixedly at us with complex emotions in his eyes. Song Yaro continued, "Why don't you go and soothe him? I'll have to keep one eye open while sleeping tonight to be on guard. I'm afraid he'll assassinate me with that look in his eyes. A weakling like you doesn't deserve his assassination. I'm mentally ill, and I can kill you right now in broad daylight." I reached into my bag, fumbling around and muttering to myself, "Where's my knife?" The way he looked at me gradually became strange. Finally, he couldn't sit still and fled the coffee shop in an embarrassing state. After Song Yaro left, I walked towards Ju Jian. He was sitting there, his lips tightly pursed. Not saying a word, he was like a docile dog. I wasn't used to it. I walked up to him and snatched the bouquet of flowers from his hand. "Oh, you bought flowers. Are they for me?" Ju Jian didn't say anything. As I admired the flowers, I thought of what Song Yaro had just said. It seemed that he had met Ju Jian. I straightened my expression and asked Ju Jian, "Have you met that crazy guy just now?" Ju Jian nodded. "He said that 3 months ago." Song Yaro suddenly found him. Song Yaro took out a lot of photos of me and him together, as well as the love letters I had written to him. He told Ju Jian that he was my first love, my white moonlight, and Ju Jian, who only resembled him a bit, was just a substitute. I was greatly shocked when I heard this and couldn't help interrupting Ju Jian. "Did you really believe him?" Ju Jian nodded. "We do look somewhat alike, I can't deny that." It was hard for me to connect Song Yaro's strange-looking face, like the bronze statues from Sangsing Dui, with Ju Jian's handsome face like a 3D model. "Why didn't you tell me when he came to you?" "I originally wanted to tell you, but every time he called you, you would answer the phone while avoiding me guiltily. I didn't dare to confront you about it. I felt really bad. Song Yaro did call me every day during that time, and I hung up on all his calls. But I was too embarrassed to tell Ju Jian about this embarrassing love experience that was like a stain on my record. His mouth was so mean. I was afraid that if he knew about it, he would use it to mock me countless times. I felt terrible about keeping it a secret, so I always avoided him guiltily. I would hide in a corner where no one was around and complain about that scumbag Song Yaro to my only best friend who knew about it. In the past, when I quarreled with Ju Jian and mentioned breaking up, it was just out of anger. He had never agreed, but that time, when I broke up with him, he agreed very decisively. I thought he had had enough of me. It turned out that Song Yaro had been sowing discord between us. after learning the truth. I was so angry that I stomped my feet. I rolled up my sleeves, wanting to slap Song Yaro twice. Ju Jian stopped me. You don't need to do it. I've already submitted the materials reporting his company for tax evasion. Let's go and watch the court session together. I looked at Ju Jian in surprise. He lowered his head and touched his nose, looking a bit embarrassed. I didn't mean anything else. I just really wanted to get him in trouble and then take his place. You mean you've gotten back together with Dr. Ju? Yeah. You mean you were caught by your parents while kissing him by the artificial lake downstairs in your residential area? In reality, I wrote 3,000 words yesterday and deleted 4,000 words today. After 2 days of hard work, I was still 1,000 words short. My best friend immediately sent a voice call. My phone is fully charged, and I'm using Wi-Fi. Tell me the details. Ju Jian and I had nothing to hide, so we directly confessed to my parents. The next day, they made an appointment to have a meal with Ju Jian's parents. Our mothers were very happy, holding hands and never stopping smiling. My father wasn't very happy. He thought that when we first met Ju Jian at his house, Ju Jian's attitude towards me wasn't very good. But when my father saw that as soon as I opened my mouth to scold Ju Jian, he knelt down on the ground with a thud. My father wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and quickly said, "Daughter, take it easy. Don't treat young Ju like a dog." My supervisor wasn't very happy either, because from now on, he would have to think twice before scolding me. Although it had been a bumpy road, I finally graduated from my master's program successfully. On the day of my graduation, my family got together for a meal and set the wedding date for Ju Jian and me. After being busy with the thesis defense and the graduation ceremony for several days, I should have been very sleepy, but I just couldn't fall asleep. I rolled over to Ju Jian, who was pretending to be asleep. When he saw me roll over, he hugged me tightly and pulled me into his arms. His hand instinctively reached under my clothes and caressed my waist, but then he suddenly stopped. "No, you've been too tired these days, let's just sleep tonight." But I didn't listen and just kept unbuttoning his clothes. My hand was already wandering back and forth on his abs. When he realized what I was doing, he quickly held my hand. And his voice had become a bit hoarse. "Are you sure you want to do it tonight?" I smiled and leaned close to his lips, and kissed him. Let's do it. The end of the full text.